Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Brainwash Yourself, your favorite podcast or your new favorite podcast about reprogramming the subconscious mind. We're back with a video episode or audio. If you're just listening, that's okay too. And we're talking about routines and rituals. I'm here, Callista, with my co-host, Annika.
Hello, hello, hello.
Yes, and we are so happy to be back. It's been a while since we recorded a pod, and we are going to be talking about routines, rituals. If you have heard our earlier previous episode, Daily Habits Lead to Quantum Leaps, then we may be touching on a lot of the same themes or kind of building and adding on to them. If you haven't heard it, it's no big deal. You could always go back and listen if you're super interested in what we talk about in this episode. But routines are kind of like habits stacked up. And I think we talked about in the habits episode, or if not, then we definitely could have the concept of habit stacking, which I think comes from the book Atomic Habits, but I'm not totally sure. And it's like, when you want to instill a new habit, and there's so much to why you would, and in my opinion, should want to instill new habits if you don't, because there are just so many benefits to being conscious about your habits. That's in a way the whole essence of this entire podcast. And there's so much to say about it that we'll get into a little bit in this episode. Because 95% of our behavior is driven by our subconscious mind. So we're kind of on autopilot. And so whether we know it or not, much of the time we're actually acting habitually or kind of in this routine. And so we want to take advantage of the tools and the tips and the tricks and the techniques that Annika and I love to talk about and explore and bring back and share with you guys, the sub club, on this podcast, to take your conscious desires and your heart's desires and use the tips and the tools and the techniques for reprogramming the subconscious mind to get your habits and your routines from just like being programmed by your childhood or by like your worst fears or something like that, to being programmed consciously by you in alignment with your hopes, your dreams, your desires, and what makes you happy and what makes you feel good, so that you can be supported and you can live the life that you enjoy. So when it comes to instilling these new habits, habit stacking is a great routine or a great technique, because you take a habit you're already in, which whether you know it or not, you are. If you don't have good habits, you can just think of like your addiction. Say like you smoke a cigarette every day. Take your good habit and do it right before or right after you smoke your cigarette. Like that's basically the essence of habit stacking, is you take a habit you already have, and then the habit you want, you tack it on before or after. So it's like a little reminder. And you just do that one at a time. And the more you do it, you have built a routine where like you have these habits that you're in one after the other, and you're just like going on autopilot. And we love it. Well, I love it. Speaking for myself, it's like I have played around so much with intentionally creating habits and routines in my life. I feel like I've benefited a lot. And Annika and I want to share some of our experience and hopefully help and support your journey. So that's it for my little intro. Can't wait to hear what Annika has to say.
Yay, I love it. I love that idea of habit stacking. I actually haven't heard about it talked in such a specific way before. I feel like my journey with habits and routines and rituals, like I never really thought about them in a linear way of like, oh, I'm creating a new habit in my brain, or oh, I'm trying to do create a better routine for myself so I can get over here. But I have instilled so many habits into my life just because I'll hear about something and it'll be like, oh, this is something you should do every day. And then I'll try doing it every day and just feel so, so much better. And I think that as humans, it's like to have this regularity of things that make us feel good, bring us back into alignment, all of these things. It's like how we can really thrive. And some people might thrive in having like an array of things in their tool belt and then kind of like picking and choosing from them. There are some people who might thrive doing the same thing every single morning and every single night. But I think they're just these things that like bring us back to ourselves, bring us back to our alignment, bring us back to our intention. And I love what you were saying, Calista, about how like no matter who you are, like where you are, like you do have habits. It's literally about whether those habits are in alignment with where you want to go, or they are completely out of alignment and keeping you stuck in this place that like you may not ultimately want to be in, but it feels familiar. And our subconscious mind will often like really cling to all that is familiar and all that is comfortable, because the unknown outside of that stimulates a fear response. And I think it can be really important just to bring awareness to that, because it's like subconscious fears that keep us in a habitual loop when our like conscious desire is actually to move beyond it and go somewhere else. Like we can be addicted to our own misery and the habits and that keep us there. Or, you know, I mean, that went a little bit dark, but I think it's true. It's like once we kind of realize that, oh, I'm actually doing this thing over and over again in the same way because like my mind is, and my subconscious mind is kind of like a supercomputer that's like, okay, this has been working for me. Like we got to keep going in this direction. And when you start realizing that that's what might be keeping you stuck when your aim is actually in this other direction, then the habits and the routines and the rituals are like really beautiful ways to start shifting closer and closer to what your aim is. And they're a way to install the patterning into your subconscious mind so that you can move over there with ease. And it does take a little bit of effort to like do the shift, but that's why the habit stacking and the adding the little like one little thing and then the next little thing and then the next little thing, and it becoming this routine that is in alignment with the person you want to be, how you want to feel. And it's like knowing that that like discomfort can be there in the interim, but that's why doing one little thing at a time is so awesome. And then it can become this beautiful routine. Like, for example, you may hear, oh, you would feel a lot better in the morning if you woke up and meditated for even just, 5 to 10 minutes before you get on your phone. And like, that makes you feel so good. And then, the next, after like 2 weeks, you're like, oh, I hear that making a gratitude list is really positive for activating my brain to notice all of the good things that I'm grateful for in my life for the rest of the day. Like I can just add on 2 minutes of that after my meditation, and it can just like blossom and bloom in that way. Or, there can be a little bit more masterminding behind it. Like, you want to do all these things, but you're just going to start with this thing, and then you're going to add this thing, and then you're going to add this thing. And we all have different goals and we all have different aims that we're moving towards in life. But I think that we have the common thread of all wanting to feel good, wanting to feel happy, wanting to feel, connected, and wanting to feel healthy and all of these things. So we do have things that we can all learn from each other so much too in our habits and our routines. I think that's another really important note, is that when you're surrounding yourself with people that like you admire and that are doing things that inspire you, you just like have a good circle around you, a circle of friends, colleagues, all of these things. One of the huge benefits, people often say you become who you surround yourself with, or like one of the most important things to get to where you might want to go or become who you want to become is who you surround yourself with. And I think one of the huge things is like witnessing the habits that people who are around you hold. Like you can learn so much. I have picked up so many good like routines, rituals, inspiration for all of these sort of things from people who are in my circle. And then, you know, your routines, your rituals, they become who you are because they are what you fall back on. It just becomes your automatic mode of behavior. So we're going to get a lot more into our favorite routines, rituals that have just become a part of us, ones that we want to be adding in, and more about what we think about the whole process of choosing, like applying and moving into these new routines and behaviors, like how that has looked for us and what it's done for us. So yeah, I would love to pass it back to you, Calista.
Yes, I love it. Oh my gosh, so many good points. I think that one thing about the habits and the routines is they're very much like a anchor or
Yeah.
like a tethering pole or something like
Mhm.
that, where we've talked about sometimes in the podcast before this different attitudes towards life where you're responding, you're creating, you're observing, and the habits and the routines is something you kind of bring with you. They're like a part of you. Like you bring them with you everywhere you go and everywhere in life, like every day, every place. It can be very different and unpredictable. So it's kind of like, I think that can be a trigger into reactive mode when something different or unpredictable happens. And that is when your subconscious is sort of running the show. And a lot of the times, if our subconscious is not aligned with our conscious intentions, it can be kind of a mess and like what we would want to avoid. But it would all just be a learning lesson. But I think that when I was younger, even though everyone has their habits, this is like a good example of that. Like mine were not intentional at all. Like my habits were kind of like wake up to my alarm that I've been snoozing a million times because like I stayed up too late last night and then get up and I'm already late and I'm checking my phone first thing and just like rushing around and not eating breakfast, you know, going straight out the door, being late to class. Like, even though I didn't choose to like create that routine, it is going to still be something that's like a repeating pattern. And it's just so reactive. Like all of that was just in response to like what time it is. You know, the fact that like I have a job or I have a class that I need to get to at a certain time. And then it's like if I am to be somewhere else and like be knocked out of my routine, then it's like, oh, I guess I'll just like sleep until noon and then like do nothing. You know what I mean? Because there's nothing to react to. And so it's just not a very intentional way to live life. And now this is like years ago, and Annika and I were just talking about before we got into this podcast, like there's so many habits and routines that it's almost hard to consciously remember how they've benefited me because I literally cannot imagine the fact that I ever didn't have them. And I know that those times existed. And I'm just like, wow, I remember that just was like so crazy. And now that I do have these certain things, it's like it kind of makes life more of the co-creation with you in life because it's like, for example, I'm traveling right now and we're doing the Zoom meeting and it's like I bring my habits and my routines with me, but the place that I'm in and the unpredictability of life still impacts what I do. And that's kind of like something that Annika and I've talked about in the past as well. And I've talked about with other friends as well. Like you create the structure, but then when you're still being flexible within the structure, like you don't want to be too rigid and attached to your habits and your routines, but it does. Structure, I think, can be kind of like a scary word for people. I don't know, because it's like, no, I just want to do whatever I want. But the fact is, here's a good example. I forget where I heard this, but there was like a school, like a elementary school, and they had no fence around it. I mean, safe area, no busy roads or anything. There was just like a little playground in the middle of a huge field and no fence. The kids could just like go out for a recess and they would stick really close to the play area and stick really close to the schoolhouse. And then when they put a fence, kind of far out at the perimeter, far beyond the playground and far beyond the schoolhouse, but just out along the edge, like a big field, the children would go all the way to the fence and just like explore a much bigger area than they had in the past. So that's just like one example of how sometimes just the structure actually gives you more freedom to explore, because we can just get paralyzed by too many options, and it just puts us into autopilot basically. And so we want to kind of create that structure for ourselves where we are still setting ourselves up for success. Because when we can build an intentional routine, we do it based on the things that we know are going to get us the results that we want. So I think that a major part of it is the morning and the night. And Annika and I were talking about this too, like the afternoon is also a great time for a routine and a ritual. But I do think, like, when I think of so many of the routines and habits that I now can't imagine living without, it's so much based around like, okay, it starts right when I get up in the morning. And if you know about instilling a morning routine, your morning routine actually starts the night before. So my night routine is kind of a work in progress, but the steps that are already instilled are really the steps of my morning routine that I need to do the night before. Like I'm always going to put a bottle of water on my nightstand before I go to bed, because drinking water in the morning is part of my morning routine. And I know that having water right there is always going to set me up for success, because I noticed that like I would start to skip that morning routine or put it off or get dehydrated if I didn't have it like ready to go. And so that's just one example of kind of like a habit stacking and a building block that now, yeah, I totally couldn't live without. And so I think besides that, everything else is that I would want to share is just like my routine, which I do recommend a lot of it, and the habits, and maybe I'll think along the way of some tips for like instilling them or why I do them. But before I just dive into that whole spiel, I want to hear more of Annika's insights.
Love. Oh my God. This just makes me smile because Callista and I live together and I feel like we're just bopping around with like, well, first of all, I think we've had habits that have rubbed off on each other and I feel like it's always positive. Like one of us, like Callista would always be listening to affirmations. And I remember one day I was like, do those really work? And she was like, girl, I think these work better than almost like anything else like I've ever done. And I just remember just like, it's so funny. I think when we're in the morning, we're both just like doing so many positive things that we also find fun and we find enjoyable, like doing affirmations, like listening to our morphogenic fields, listening to subliminals. Like one of us will go for a walk, the other one will go for a walk, you know, like get some sun. So I'm so grateful for that because I think it's beautiful. Sometimes we do Kundalini together and I think it's such a good example of just, you know, that positive reinforcement and how important friendship and community is with people who have like the same value, or not the same, but similar values. And that's what I'll say on that. But I do also think I'm ready to talk about, like the morning and the evening routine. And for some reason, to me, it's like, I know I've heard some people like to call, like swap like ritual for routine. I guess it really doesn't matter because it's just semantics. But for some reason, to me, like the evening time seems like a vibe for like ritual, like my evening ritual. For some reason, morning like aligns more with like the routine energy for me. But I would have to say that like my morning routine, and this is what I think is fun about it, is that maybe you're someone who like has a lot of good habits in the morning, but you never really consciously thought like, oh, I'm going to put together my morning routine. And then you're like, oh, I do these good things in the morning. But then when you add a little bit more awareness to it, you're like, okay, but like, how could I, like, there's always kind of different ways to bring some more intention and design to your day. Like I have a really strong morning routine and I always have, but I don't really have something that I do in the afternoon, which I feel like an afternoon midday reset is so important. And I also like have never been on point with an evening routine pretty much ever. Like there are things that I do that are positive in the evening, but I know that's something that could potentially really positively influence my life because I think how you go to bed oftentimes influences A, how you sleep, which is how your whole next day is going to go, and B, how you feel when you wake up in the morning. That's so huge. And that is what is so fascinating about life is I think as you get older, you start to realize how much everything rolls into the next thing. And like, that's what this episode is really about, is as Callista said in the beginning, rather than living from a place of reactivity and having life happen and then you like respond to it and like it's just this back and forth for your entire life, it's like getting ahead of it. It's like you happening to life, you know, when you decide to get up and you decide to do these things that like put out a specific structure for your day, both physically but also energetically. It's like you, yeah, having this dance with life, co-creating with life. And it's like that quote that's like, don't I can't remember the quote at all, but the essence of it is that like have the courage to change what you can, have the courage, like, and have the basically, I think, intelligence to take responsibility for what you're able to in your life. And then the stuff that you can, like, no sweat off your back, like, don't worry about it at all. So, in essence, our routines and our rituals that we instill, like, this is stuff that's totally under our control. So you're like, okay, I'm just going to do my best in this area and really apply things that I think will give me an edge up in the way I want them to, and then not be attached to the outcome or the way that like life happens around you. And I think that's really a good recipe for happiness and really a good recipe for success. And as someone who feels, you know, pretty free spirited and like for a lot of my life maybe rebelled against like a lot of like structure and this kind of thing, I would have to say that routines and rituals and habits really are so essential towards like enjoying all the free flowing moments of life to the fullest. Like if you are doing the things that you know make you feel really good and put you into a better state of being every day, then all the like fun juicy parts of life are just going to be like that much more sparkly, that much more wonderful. And like, you know, the days where you blow it all off are totally beautiful and amazing in their own right too, because you know that that structure is already in place. It's like if you miss a day, it doesn't matter. You're like, this is what I do every day and this is who I am. So like, I know I'll be back to it tomorrow, or I know I'll be back to it in a couple of days. And I think there are a lot of areas of routine and rituals that we can have depending on what's important to us. And to me, for me, I feel like I need all of them to be touched so that my whole being is like a multidimensional, like as a mind, body, soul, I can feel healthy, I can feel happy and good in my life. It would be like touch on the spiritual, touch on the mental, touch on the physical. And so I think that's a really good way, I'm just now realizing, to think about the entire routine in terms, or like your entire, all the rituals and routines you have in your day. Because I'll just speak to me personally. I think when I'm missing one, I feel like there's some part of me that's unfulfilled, you know, the spiritual, that's like our connection to the infinite, and it's different for all of us. So whatever way that that works and resonates for you, but the physical, so that like our vessel, which is like the channel for the infinite, the channel for who we are, that's another huge aspect. And then I think what's super interesting is the mental as well, because whoever you are, whoever may be listening to this, like I'm guessing there's one of these areas that you focus on more than the other, maybe not. But for me, what's coming to me is that I think in the first part of my life was like really in the mental and the physical. And then when I kind of discovered the spiritual, I was like so heavy on the spiritual for so long. And I think that then I realized that like my physical was a little bit neglected, and adding that back in was like so nourishing and so helpful. And then I think on top of that, like the most recent one I realized is that the intellectual stimulation is something that I want to be focusing on more, because it may be the one that has gotten the least attention, you know? And so things for, I can like mention a couple examples for every single one of these areas, but like for the intellectual, you know, if there's something you've always wanted to study, if you honestly want to even like learn an instrument, I mean, learning how to read music and how to do all the things, like that's super intellectual. And until you get to the part where you know it, and then it becomes like a lot more creative. Reading a book every day, you know, like listening to podcasts, you know, anything, taking a class on something. So that's like, I don't know, it's a really enjoyable kind of stimulation that I think is an important aspect of being human, and little routines and rituals in our days and our weeks can really add to that level of satisfaction in life. And then spiritual, you know, for some people it might be going to church, for some people it might be meditating, for some people it might be praying, for some people it might be doing yoga, for some people it might be having a conversation with God, for some people it might be journaling, just these, yeah, these things that kind of nourish the spirit. Some people might be making art. And then for the physical, you know, some people it could be weightlifting, some people it could be going on walks, for some people it could be Pilates. There's so many things. For some people it could be like vitamins, you know, there, or like tweaking the food that you're eating, the water that you're intaking, all of these kinds of things. And I think it's just an interesting thing to think about, those three aspects of your life, and are there routines and rituals that are supporting all of them? Are there some that aren't being as supported? Would it be helpful? Would it be beneficial to you to add something in that area? Would it make you feel more balanced? Would it make you feel happier? Are you interested in experimenting and seeing if that is the case potentially? So, because if it's something that maybe hasn't been focused on much, maybe it is that layer of unknown where you'd have to really just like try it and see. So it's an interesting contemplation to have, because we are really vast and holistic human beings, and you know, we're the ones who are really with ourselves in this life and supporting ourselves and making sure we're getting what we need. So these are interesting things to think about. And I'll share about, I guess I'll share before I pass it back to you, Callista, about my morning routine, because I think that's something for me that has been so consistent. I think ever since I learned about meditation when I was 17, I think that is something I've done every morning for so long, but it didn't start off with me. Like that's probably the habit that for me, I don't even know what life was like before that, you know? And it's so fascinating because we have a whole episode on meditation, but it's kind of like our mind is kind of built in a way where it will just be thinking constantly and all the time. And one thought will react off another. And the fact that we can watch that, and then when it's watched, it can kind of settle and still and go away. Like, and then that flurry of hecticness in our mental state, which in my mind, like our entire life is a reflection of what's going on in our mind, which isn't really separate from our body. But to take that time every day to like allow that to settle and to connect to a higher awareness is something to me that like is the most potent thing to change the experience of the rest of the day. And so that is like my number one habit I can't live without. I'll end it there before I pass it back to you, Calista. The number one habit I can't live without is meditating.
I love all of that. I think meditation is a hugely beneficial habit, and I also have it in my morning routine as well. And getting right into my night and morning routine. Well, actually, so routine and ritual, that's really interesting. I actually looked up when you were talking, what makes a ritual a ritual? Because I was like, I feel like it is the intention. And it basically is. We have here a ritual is a religious or solemn ceremony consisting of a series of actions performed according to a prescribed order. So it is almost kind of like, I think that I do love the concept of ritual, and I feel like it's almost something I could more bring into my routine. And I've been inspired by other people. Like I have a cup of tea in my morning routine, and I've seen this gal, Rowena Sai, on YouTube. Like she has matcha in her morning routine, but when she does it, she like takes the time when she drinks it to like sit down and just be present, like with the matcha and with her breath and her thoughts. And I think that is like the ritual vibe of like really kind of bringing the spiritual intention. Like I love what you were saying of like being intentional about taking the time to like quiet the mind and connect to your spiritual source is so, so powerful. And I just think like there's even room, like we were talking before this episode, of how there's also like different habits that we still are working on and different room for improvement always in our routine. And I think that is like something in mine. But when it comes to the ones I do have, I did mention that. So my night routine sets me up for the morning routine. And a major part of it is my supplements, my supplement routine. So shout out to Grimhood and Soul Bra. I will have to link them because they did really turn me on to these nighttime supplements. And I had heard and was already taking magnesium before bed. And I think highly, highly recommend right before bed taking magnesium and just maybe keeping that on your nightstand. If that's something that's new for you. But Grimhood and Soul Bra also recommended me to L-theanine, glycine, black seed oil. So I won't get too deeply into why these are the prime supplements that I would never ever skip before bed, but suffice it to say, I wake up, I feel the difference when I wake up. Like they do set me up for my morning routine in terms of waking up refreshed, ready to start the day, feeling good, minimal sickness, and everything like that. So magnesium. And then when it comes to the glycine and the L-theanine, those I mix into my tea. So I kind of have as my nighttime ritual, like when I'm getting tired and time to go to bed, I take my magnesium, mix my glycine and my L-theanine onto my tea, and then I take a spoonful of the black seed oil. Tastes kind of gnarly. So that is like right before I have my dessert. So it's like right after dinner kind of, but I usually wait a while. And that's one thing that is room for improvement, is like starting it always at a certain time instead of just already being tired and being like, oh my gosh, I have to get this stuff done, because that's usually how it is. But then fill up my water for the next day, turn on my salt lamp and dimming the lights. That's a major thing. Like red light before bed is very beneficial. Do my skincare, brush my teeth, cover my mirror. If you have a mirror across your bed, like Annika and I both do, we do cover the mirror. It is like feng shui, spiritual, but we do notice the difference. Oh my
Like,
gosh.
mega.
For a while, my mirror was covered and Annika's wasn't, and she was waking up at 3 a.m. like every single night, spirits flying around her room every direction.
It's no joke.
So-
But, good thing it was me who was like, y'all better get out.
Oh, yeah,
versus like not messing around. But it really does interrupt the sleep,
It really
and
does.
you don't know what's going on when you're not being woken up and you're just asleep and things are happening. So
If that happens to you, you get woken up in the middle of the night and you have an uncovered mirror across from your bed, just cover it, see what happens. And then that's also when I take like my huge pillows off my bed and stuff and plug in my phone. Oh, and then I also put my hair in like whatever it is, a loose braid, plug in my phone and then set the alarm. This is a tip. When it comes to the alarm, do it based on the number of complete sleep schedule or sleep cycles you can get in. So set your alarm a certain amount of distance from the time you're going to bed that is divisible by an hour and a half. So if you are going to sleep, do it for minimally, 6 hours, because that's four times an hour and a half, or 7.5 hours, 9 hours, and then add on 15 minutes for you to fall asleep. So like I usually set my alarm when I'm going to bed for 7 hours and 45 minutes from that point. And it helps you like get in a full sleep cycle and just wake up refreshed. So you're not waking up in the middle of your sleep cycle and you have to snooze like a billion times to feel awake. And then I always put my phone on airplane, and I have YouTube Premium. So I listen to overnight affirmations that are like downloaded to my YouTube app that I can still listen to when my phone is on airplane. Then I just turn out my light. And I think I could incorporate like a little shower ritual. Like my shower is something that I just do like when I feel dirty or when I have time or like before I am going to go somewhere. But I would love to have it like before bed and do a little like wash the worries of the day off or something like that. Because I think that sounds really nice. And read before bed or journal, meditate, stretch, because I know those are super beneficial. And one thing that like totally changed my life lately, this also a shout out to Rowena Sai. This is in the morning. I used to always check my phone in the morning, and she was saying in one of her videos, the first minute of the day is what sets you up for success. So if you just take like a few deep breaths in the morning before you check your phone, then it makes all the difference. And I was like, that sounds easy. Like, I'm going to try it. It's just a few deep breaths. Next thing I know, I had completed my entire morning routine before I even checked my phone. Like, it totally changed everything. And it changed so much. Like, instead of checking my email first thing and seeing like what's on sale and what is getting the marketing email, it's like I feel like I'm buying so much less stuff. And because you're very impressionable right when you're first waking up, and if you're breathing, you're tuning yourself into this very, very valuable information to you, which is like how your body feels, the fact that you're awake, and stuff like that, as opposed to like what's on sale from Joa Brown. Another thing I do right when I'm taking my 10 deep breaths is a shout out to Sonia Choquette, who is a major queen of brainwashing oneself on Instagram. And she said, like, in the morning, you tune in to the divine spirit within and say, divine spirit within me, please guide me in the direction of my highest good this day. So I started doing that. So, and another major tip is don't set like an alarm on your iPhone. Go into the health app or like the wake up function from your alarm screen and set your morning alarm as your wake up time in your phone instead of just setting an alarm, because it sets it to like a very gentle tone. So you're not like traumatized by your alarm. And I see people complaining about the iPhone alarm all the time. And I'm like, you guys, it doesn't have to be that way. You can just wake up to a very gentle wake up tone if you use the wake up function of your alarm. And then another tip is when you have YouTube Premium, I set up like my little protocol overnight affirmations. So like my overnight affirmations go straight into my morning mantras, my morning affirmations, my morning subliminals. So I don't have to be like changing playlists around on my YouTube app. I can just like skip to the next, and it's already onto my morning and into my playlist for the daytime. So as I'm like brushing my teeth and everything like that, I just am already listening to positive affirmations or whatever it may be. And I wear contacts, like have to wash my hands. And I realized this is another tip about building habits and building routines along with the habit stacking. It's kind of like how I put my water bottle on my nightstand before bed. It's like put things where you are going to use them, or like do things when you are going to be near them. So I do my skincare right away because I'm already going to be in the bathroom, like brushing my teeth, washing my hands, putting in my contacts. So like while I'm standing there, it like reduces friction of having to go into the bathroom to do your skincare because you're already in there. So like you may as well just do it. And there's a lot of things like that. Like if you're walking past something and you're going in the direction of like where it belongs, just pick it up and put it away. Don't think like, oh, I have to put that away later, because you're just going to have to double back. Like you're already on your way. So it's just a really good mental habit to get in of like, if you can do it, it's kind of like the 2-minute rule or the touch it once rule, 2 different rules. But like, if you can do something in 2 minutes, just do it right now. Or like, if you have to deal with something, like say you are going to blow dry your hair, only touch it once. So you don't have to literally only touch it once, but like only take it out, blow dry your whole hair, and then put it away. Don't like blow dry it, leave it there so you have to put it away later and come back and do it. Like just if you get something in the mail that you have to deal with, don't put it on the counter and deal with it later. Open it, pay the bill, file it away, and then it's like it's done. Like only touch it once. So these are like mental habits to get into. But I'm definitely going to leave you guys on a cliffhanger, or just not get too much into the details. Like I drink water, make my bed. I have a certain journaling exercise I do, 5 minutes of yoga, 20-minute meditation. Then I turn my phone off airplane. One thing I can't imagine I ever did not do is eat protein before I drink caffeine. Like thinking of doing that now, when I had done that for a while and then I skipped it one day after months of always eating protein before my caffeine. And then one day I have my black tea when I haven't eaten anything, I threw up in the toilet. I went and threw up in the toilet. Like it is so insane how my body was like just in survival mode, getting accustomed to that lifestyle and how bad it is and how much that contributes to the caffeine crash later in the day. So yeah, it's all crazy how long my night and morning routine is, but it just was built like one step at a time. And I just feel like I wouldn't change it for the world.
Did you say everything?
Yeah, that's pretty much everything. I mean, I have my tea after my protein, and I would want to incorporate like more sunlight, but I can share like my journaling exercise that I do in the description because I really do like it for
Perfect.
setting intentions or whatever.
Okay, so we're gonna rapid fire my morning and night routine. And I love this because I feel like I'm gonna go away from this episode and make some changes. So another behind meditation, another now non-negotiable for me is do some Kundalini yoga every day. And Chris and I have talked a lot about the angel course, which we do for a half an hour every day. And I always do it right in the morning. Like my preference is to like get up do the angel course, and it is like a half an hour to 45 minutes of Kundalini yoga, and it's via the phone live every day. So what I do is I wake up, I turn my phone off airplane mode, I put on do not disturb. I go to the yoga, I do the yoga, and I like to do it right away because I kind of like to do it in this place where I'm still not fully awake yet. For some reason, it's so meditative, and I'm not thinking about like, oh, having to do this next thing. It's just like breath, mantra, just in it, in the zone. So I do the Kundalini yoga. When the Kundalini yoga is over, I just meditate, silent meditation. And then something that I've added recently, and this is what I think is fun, is like, for me, the first thing I do is the spiritual stuff. Like I do drink water, like water, lemon water, whatever. I do the yoga, I do the meditation, but like, just because the first part of my day, that's like my structure. It's like I tap into this spiritual before I do anything. I swap in and out what I do. I pretty much always meditate, always do Kundalini yoga. But then, for example, after that, recently I've been doing this visualization meditation that it's basically a manifestation meditation, but it's like the most powerful one I've ever used. And I used to do it every day in college. I watched so many things. We'll put it in the show notes. I watched so many things materialize from it. And I just like realized recently that I believe that our imagination and our power to manifest has so much, like we're so powerful, but it's just like a lot of us know this, but then don't really enact the techniques that often. And so I'm like, okay, I really want to habitually do this again. It's a 10-minute meditation. I've been doing it the past 4 mornings, and I feel so good because it's like you connect to source and then you project. And no matter what happens, like you're going to feel better, or I feel better connecting to that source energy every day. Because to me, it's kind of like we're plugging in. Like the way I imagine life is that our consciousness is like channeling in through our bodies, and like the more we can connect to that higher energy, like the more smoothly everything unfolds. So that's why the spiritual to me is like the number one every day. And then I work out, which is like the physical, and that can be different. It could be going on a walk, going on a run, doing like a YouTube video routine. I've been loving that lately because you can just do it from your home, which is awesome. But if you go out and do the walk or the run, or I do the walk and the run, I'm also getting that vitamin D. So that's like, boom, that's kind of a stack that's not even a stack. Because you don't even have to do anything. Yeah, exactly.
And the fresh air.
Yeah, exactly. And then I put on, and sometimes I do this while I'm working out, is I put on the audios already. Like we listen to morphogenic fields, which kind of like affect the frequencies around you and the frequency of like the physical a little bit more in ways that align with your intentions. And then also, then after that, subliminals, which, influence the subconscious mind, which also create shifts and everything in life. And so that's my morning routine. Night routine, I don't really have one. Like what I would imagine I would want mine to be. In college, I was really diligent. I would sleep with my phone outside of my room, and I had an like an old alarm clock. And that was so, so wonderful that like I would love to like instill that, instill no blue light 30 minutes before bed. I mean, it sounds crazy. I should be able to do an hour, but like even 30 minutes before bed is way off from what I do right now. And then read before bed, because I notice if I'm on a screen until right up before I go to sleep, sleep is wacky. Waking up is a little weird. Like reading a book is just super wholesome and nice. And you have, like a dim light setting on. Just me personally, the difference is so
There's
massive.
so many benefits. I heard that reading for 10 minutes a day can increase your mental health by 60%.
Oh my gosh. See, and I don't doubt it, because I feel like I personally feel that difference.
Feels so
and
good. So random.
And doing it before bed is like the perfect time, because I think it's just like to just be looking at a page and a piece of paper before you go to bed. It's like really, really great. And then you can also get in that intellectual stimulation, because I think a lot of the times when we're feeling this like lack of fulfillment somewhere in our life, it's like one of the aspects of ourselves isn't being tended to. And so just thinking of adding in a mini habit that can enhance that one area, oftentimes it will like just really enhance how fulfilled and happy we feel in our lives. And there are so many more things to say. The last thing I'll say is that it can be good to mentally think, like I was just explaining, what is a thing that could be added in a certain place that can maybe fill like a place we might be feeling a little bit of lack in. But then also I love the idea that there's like oftentimes I will have an intuitive hit of something to add to my routine. Like it would, like that meditation I was just talking about, it was kind of an intuitive hit of like, oh, that's going to go into my routine. So it's kind of like there's the flowy aspect of like, you just know and it hits you and you're like, oh, that I'm going to add. And then there can be the more analytical, and I think both are important. And another habit is listening to something in the middle of the night. And I think that's such a major hack because our subconscious is so active while we're asleep. And it's like this 8 hours that you could be programming your computer. And so I know that like mantra, subliminals, affirmation tracks, like all these things, or just like a frequency track, major hack that takes very little effort. And I'll leave it at that. Thank you guys so much for being here. We want to know I really want to know this one. I want to know like your favorite routines, rituals, and hacks that like we as a high vibe community can share with each other. So email us at brainwashyourselfpodcast@gmail.com. Please let us know. And we'd love to hear what they are and then, share them with the sub club in subsequent episodes. So
Yeah, definitely. I think afternoon routine is a cute idea, like 2 p.m. slump. I love doing the angel course in the afternoon. So that would be fun to
I love that. Totally.
Yeah.
And people say 2 p.m. is like, it's a slump time. So if you can have a habit like right around that time that, like brings you somewhere else, which yoga, breath work, all of that, really good idea.
So many. Oh my gosh, there's so many different tips. Yeah. This is a really fun episode. So definitely email us and maybe we will do a part 2 of like even more routine and habit related tips, tricks, tools, and techniques, because it is super, super major pillar when it comes to brainwashing oneself.
So true.
Yes. We love you guys. So we hope you love us. Just kidding. It's okay if you don't, but rate us 5 stars and write us a review.
Okay, peace out. We'll see you next time.
Bye.